जय व्रजधना जय यमुनातिरावनचारी जय कुञ्ज बिहारी जय कुञ्ज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा गोपी जन वल्लभ राधा गोपी जन वल्लभ राधे जया निताय पतित पावन गौरा हरि जया निताय पतित पावन गौरा हरि जया प्रभुपदा जया प्रभुपदा जया प्रभुपदा शिला प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा शिला प्रभुपदा शिला प्रभुपाद की जय समवेत गौर भक्तवृंद की ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोकैर्भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपाकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. We'll start with Mangalacharan. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यामनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हुकुम करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम् Hare Krishna. We have a full room here of elevated devotees. So today we are discussing only because of Krishna Kumar Prabhu, you said? Only visible name. Hare Krishna. So I'm going to share my screen. 4880 Prabhu, is that right? 4880. Okay, thank you. This is actually the beautiful series going on. I'm going to share my screen. Hare Krishna. Wonderful. Hope everyone is able to see my screen. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. Okay. Tasmin abhidyayati vishwam. One second. Tasmin abhidyayati vishwamatmano. Dwaram nirudya sumananyadiya. Ananyayadiya. Dwaram nirudyasum ananyayadiya. Lokanirchvasa nipidita vrisham. Salokapalaha sharanam yayurharim. Tasmin abhidyayati vishwamatmano. Dwaram nirudya sumananyayadiya. Lokanirchvasa nipidita vrisham. Salokapala sharanam yayurharim. Tasmin abhidyayati vishwamatmano. Dwaram nirudya sumananyayadiya. Lokanirchvasa nipidita vrisham. Salokapalaha sharanam yayurharim. Anyone would like to try? तस्मिन्नभिध्यायति विश्वमात्मनो तस्मिन्नभिध्यायति विश्वमात्मनो व्यासमनन्यया द्वारं निरुद्यासुमनन्यया धिया लोकानिरुच्छ्वासनिपीडितवृषम् स लोकपाला शरणं ययुर्हरिम् तस्मिन्नभिध्यायति विश्वमात्मनो द्वारं निरुद्यासुमन्यायाय धीरा लोकानिरुच्छ्वासनिपीडितवृषम् स लोकपाला शरणं ययुर्हरिम्. Malaji, you want to try? अस्मिन्नभिध्यायति विश्वमात्मनो द्वारं निरुद्यासुमन्याय धिया लोकानिरुच्छ्वासनिपीडितवृषम् स लोकपाला शरणं ययुर्हरिम्. Thank you. We will read synonym. Tasmin, Dhruv Maharaj, Abhidhyayati, when meditating with full concentration. Vishwam Atmanaha, the total body of the universe. Dwaram, the holes. Nirudya, closed. Asam, the life air. Ananyaya, without being diverted. Diya, meditation. Lokaha, all the planets. Nirichvasa, having stopped breathing. Nipiditaha, thus being suffocated. Brisham, very soon. Salokapalaha, all the great demigods from different planets. Sharanam, shelter. Yayu, took. Harim, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. When Dhruv Maharaj became practically one in heaviness with Lord Vishnu. Let me repeat. When Dhruv Maharaj became practically one in heaviness with Lord Vishnu, the total consciousness, due to his full concentration and his closing all the holes of the body, the total universal breathing became choked up. And all the great demigods in all the planetary systems felt suffocated and thus took shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. When hundreds of persons are sitting in an aeroplane, although they remain individual units, they each share in total force of airplane. Which runs at thousands of miles per hour. Similarly, when unit energy is identified with the service of total energy, the unit energy becomes as powerful as total energy. Very beautiful line. I'll repeat. When unit energy is identified with the service of total energy, the unit energy becomes as powerful as the total energy. As explained in the previous verse, Dhruv Maharaj, because of his spiritual advancement, became almost a total heaviness, and thus he pressed down the whole earth. Moreover, by such spiritual power, his unit body became the total body of the universe. Thus, when he closed the holes of his unit body to firmly concentrate his mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the units of the universe, namely all living entities, including the big demigods, felt the pressure of suffocation, as if their breathing were being choked. Therefore, they all took shelter of Supreme Personality of Godhead because they were perplexed as to what had happened. This example of Dhruv Maharaj closing the holes of his personal body and thereby closing the breathing holes of total universe clearly indicates that a devotee by his personal devotional service, let me repeat, a devotee by his personal devotional service can influence all the people of the whole world to become devotees of the Lord. If there is only one pure devotee in pure Krishna consciousness, he can change the total consciousness of the world into Krishna consciousness. This is not very difficult to understand if we study the behavior of Dhruv Maharaj. Very, very elaborate purport. Before I start, I want to seek all of your blessings. I remember Isaac Newton when he was once, he was so fed up that every time, I have to give so many interviews and all that stuff. So one time, and he was so busy at the time, actually, even while driving, someone will sit with him and ask questions and all that stuff. So one time he asked his driver, I'm fed up with it. And you have been here, so you know the philosophy very well. You know the answer. So today I will drive and you sit behind. So nobody knew. And a lot of people did not know Newton by face. So anyway, the interviewer or whoever had some questions, so they were sitting in the car and he started asking the question. And then the driver who was actually representing Newton and he was sitting, he started answering those questions. And he asked one tough question, the interviewer. And now the driver did not know the answer for that one. He said, oh, that's such a simple answer. Even my driver can answer. And then the driver, who was Newton, actually, he responded that. So Sham Kishore Prabhu, it is his turn. Somehow he thought, let me give this opportunity to this driver now and let me speak. So I want to seek your blessings, seek all of your blessings. Seek all of your blessings. Krishna Kumar Prabhu is here. And then all wonderful Vaishnavas are here. And Vaishnavis are here. So, one time Prabhupada, a very beautiful pastime which I heard. One time Prabhupada, somewhere in America during the snow season, was going and there was a pile of snow which became an ice. Prabhupada took his lathi and started crushing that. He was just doing it, and some time passed, and the disciples were thinking, what is happening? What is Prabhupada trying to do? And one devotee had guts to actually ask Prabhupada, Prabhupada, what are you trying to do? Prabhupada said, this nature of water has been transformed into ice. I'm trying to bring it back to its original consciousness. Why I have to work so hard? Because I try to bring you back from ice to water, but you guys again go back to ice. So I have to work so hard to bring back that consciousness. When we see this example, what a beautiful example Dhruv Maharaj is putting across. When we say Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, when we say graduate, postgraduate, and PhD, when you see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jai Shri Shri Radha Gopi Janala Bhagwan ki jai, Jai Pati Tapana Gaurari ki jai. I was reading Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually sharing talking about the beauty of Krishna, and he's so deep in ecstasy. And at the end, he tells Sanatan Goswami saying that, sorry, Krishna wanted me to speak through me. And he came to external consciousness and he started speaking, saying that, no, I'm not qualified to speak about these subjects, but somehow Krishna used me as an instrument. So please forgive me. I distracted from the topic. I distracted from the actual topic which I want to convey. You see, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela are so at a higher platform. And where are we? Where are we? In our corporate world, they talk about gap analysis. Have you heard that term? Gap analysis. Current state, target state. We have to always think about the gap analysis, even in spiritual life. What is gap analysis? Where I stand, where I should be. When we go through, after Bhagavad Gita, when we come to the platform of Srimad Bhagavatam, when we see the example of Dhruv Maharaj, he is just a 5-year boy. One time Prabhupada was asked, Prabhupada, how much time does it take to become Krishna conscious? Prabhupada said, 1 moment. Is it Prabhupada minimizing Krishna consciousness? Not really. Is he speaking something which is beyond our capacity? Well, not based on our capacity. What is lacking? What is that gap analysis? Where I want to be and where I am. Ideally, all of us, we know the goal. Great. I'm talking about myself. I want to go back to spiritual world. And all of you are already there. I want to go there. So the goal is very lofty. However, where I have to do that gap analysis. What am I lacking? Introspection is a very important aspect of our spiritual life as well as material life. Material life, we anyhow do it, whether hook or crook, we have to figure it out. It is forced by nature. I have to figure out if I'm losing my job, I have to figure out my next job. But in spiritual life, I'm talking about myself, becomes so careless. We think, oh, you know what, whatever I'm doing, I'll just continue doing that and I'll go back to spiritual world. Hold on. Let's see what Dhruv Maharaj is doing. His whole existence, his whole energy, Vyavasatmika Ekeha Kuru Vandana, Kuru Nandana. Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Ekeha Kuru Nandana. He is having one pointed determination. We hear so much about it. We read in Bhagavad Gita. You see what kind of determination he is. He is showcasing. Can we mimic him? We can't. We can't mimic him. But what we are talking about is, I want to spell this out. We have to understand what it takes to go back to spiritual world. If I am preparing, like in exam, if I'm preparing to pass 35 marks, but my goal is to get into IIT or Oxford, I'm sorry. There is a gap understanding which we need to understand. What am I producing? What am I how much I'm working versus how much is the goal? So this gap analysis in our spiritual life, I'm talking about myself, is extremely important. Yes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leelas are amazing. When we hear there is philosophy Krishna and there is real Krishna. What we are living in, and I'm talking about myself, is philosophy Krishna. We understand this philosophy so well and we speak about that. I'm talking about myself sitting here thinking that what am I speaking? But when we see this unit energy, Prabhupada said a beautiful purport. What is that? He said, the unit energy, the beautiful line he mentioned, yeah, when unit energy is identified with the service of total energy, the unit energy becomes as powerful as the total energy. Everything boils down to power of intentions. Now, what happens is, yes, there is a goal in the mindset, but in daily activities, in our daily life, how are we practicing is very important. When I'm in the temple, I'm just thinking about myself. Yesterday, I was in cardiology. I took my daughter for an appointment and I was just thinking about her. So this was a dark room and on the TV, there was a movie going on Under Ocean. Very nice movie. I want to spend, not a movie, but some video was being played. These fishes, very beautiful fishes, were just swimming. Various aquatic animals, whatever we call it as tortoise and all that stuff, they were nicely swimming. And the current was extremely smooth. I was thinking about, isn't it how I am? Thinking like that fish. Wow, this world is so great. Look at me. I am so beautiful. See people around me so beautiful and just swimming with that. Dhruv Maharaj did not do like that. Yes, it was kind of a chaotic situation for him, but Narada Muni asked him, "Arey thande ho jao, ghar jao tum." And it happens in all of our life. Lot of troubles come, lot of suffering comes in our life. And then, yeah, it happens. Life has to go on. What do you mean by life has to go on? This is, in my opinion, this is a ridiculous statement which is made. Life has to go on. Life is driven. Life doesn't go on. Life is driven. I decide how I want to do it, not that the life takes me how I want to go. So, coming back to this point, I was thinking about it and I was so amazed. Rasika came and she said, I was seeing the beautiful lights in the ceiling. There was a projector and she was seeing different colors. And she was telling, oh, this blue color Krishna, this is green color, this is Lord Ram. In the mind, I felt what a training she has received from her mother. Thinking everything in the material world from a spiritual dimension perspective is a blessing. And I was so amazed at such an age. And I was just contemplating on her mother how she lived every moment. Just bringing those aspects of daily, how do we live daily life? Well, here you see Dhruv Maharaj, what Srimad Bhagavatam puts in. Actually, this is very interesting. Srimad Bhagavatam puts what happens behind the curtain also. What happens in Dhruv Maharaj's life? What happened in Prahlad Maharaj's life? And when we talk about the example of Pururava, how he is crazy about Urvashi, elaborately explained. For us, what happens is we have a dual identity. At least I'm thinking about myself. I'm different at home. I'm different here. Nobody knows what happens there. Nobody knows what happens there. But in Srimad Bhagavatam, crystal clear. This is what is happening in Dhruv Maharaj's home. He's spelling that out. Boss, this is a problem. And how Suruchi and how Suniti, both are mothers, but they are giving different dimensions. But when we are at home, we behave as it is that, oh, you know what? I will climb this milestone of going back to God and myself. I want to say this and confess this. If we don't know how to take care of our relationships, if we do not know how to behave with our family members, sometimes the family members are our God brothers and God sisters indirectly. And we all know that I want to go back to Godhead. And we all know the philosophy without the mercy of Guru, he is the connecting point. Without his mercy, we cannot go. And what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, there are two ways to actually attain back to Godhead. That you, whenever you get an opportunity, chant the name of Krishna and do not criticize. But at home, we take things for granted. One time, I was in Australia, and then I just started Krishna consciousness without even understanding the philosophy. So both of us were working. We didn't have kids at that time. One time, Nayan Sundari asked me, you are also working. I am also working. Don't you think you should help at home? And I was stunned because I never thought that way. Oh, she also needs a help. She's also working. She is also contributing about whatever we are doing. So she's working the same job. So she's doing two jobs here, one at home and one at that. And it touched my heart. And I still remember, I can actually go back to that scene and immediately remember that part that changed my life. Thinking about, hey, I am also supposed to be the contributor. Not that I ask what is there in Prashad or what is there in this activity, why this didn't happen, why that didn't happen. When we live in our spiritual life and boiling down, coming back to the other side as well, the wife thinks, oh, you know what? Husband is earning money. I can utilize the money however way I want to. I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. And without realizing what husband has to work hard to actually earn money and save money and whatever has to happen, because a lot of times, I'm not saying that's a real thing. Husband has to take care of electricity bill, husband has to take care of other bills, he has to take care of mortgage, he has to take care of insurance, he has to take care of other things. How to prepare for future and all that stuff, how to take care of kids' education. And sometimes Matajis are not in that domain or vice versa, whatever it is. Sorry for bringing in this concept, but I felt this is actually a die-hard need today in our community, in various communities today. We don't live in silos. We live in material world and our goal is very lofty. If I'm basically taking my wife and husband and kids left and right, I'm sorry. My spiritual master is not pleased with me. And if my spiritual master is not pleased with me, I can never attain the love of Krishna. What to talk about calling Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or following his footsteps? Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? That is very artificial. Very artificial. We all have to realize we have to help each other. 1 plus 1 is equal to 11, or 1 plus 1, if 1 is minus 1 becomes 0. So if I'm putting my effort along with my family, it will become 11. If we are actually trying to put everyone in the family down, thinking that my husband should do like that, my wife should do like that, it is 1 minus 1, 0. You see, in the life of Dhruv Maharaj, we understand. If I have to put this example, when you play cricket in the gully, in the local street, what practice, at least I'm thinking about myself, our spiritual life is at that level. What to talk about playing a one day at the international level? It is, I'm just putting a mundane example, not that this exactly mimics that. Attaining spiritual world, attaining Krishna's abode is not eating peanuts. It is not about just checking mark. Oh, you know what? I am here. Yes, Lord Nityanand Prabhu is very merciful that they want to give us the highest perfection. But are we prepared? To be honest, when we hear the story of Kailash, Prabhupada quotes this example. Narad Muni comes, Kailash, I have a ticket for you in the spiritual world. Do you want to come? No, I have responsibility to play. I'll tell you, if today death comes, how many of us are becoming happy? How many think we made it? To be honest, maybe some of you, I don't. I don't. I am worried what is going to happen. And what is coming, we have no realization. I was speaking to one person, one devotee. I'm like, when we are caught up in our daily activities, husband and wife dealing with, oh, ye nahi hua, wo nahi hua, they are, hey, you guys are, what are you fighting for? This is not worth the energy. I was telling in Hindi, please forgive me about it, I'll translate in English. When you see there is a storm coming, there is a silence. Don't think that silence, or don't think our material life is going well. It is going to go that way. I was in the dilemma. When Nayan got a transplant, I'm like, yeah, she suffered so much. Now it's enough. Karma is taken care of. But when it hit second time, it hit so hard. We realized we are completely broken to actually handle that part. Material world is very brutal. And this line is so bold printed in my consciousness. My spiritual master said, every one of you will be tested. It's not an ordinary statement. And when we are tested, oh, we are just handling the baller who is just playing in the gully and just on the local street. What to talk about international level problems which we have to handle at the one day match. So in spiritual world, to attain perfection, you see example of Gajendra. You see example of Indradumna. Indradumna Maharaj, I was just hearing, he would actually offer a golden flower to Lordship every day. Very unique golden flower to the Lord. And he would offer the prayers within a second. Now imagine, that is his devotion. Imagine King Kulashekar. Look at his devotion. Are they slide here? We see example of we slide it down in the birth of elephant. You see King Chitraketu, he get to see Lord Vishnu himself face to face, and he become Vritrasur. Becoming a demon is one aspect, but being what is the worst thing in the world is you become like everyone is waiting or praying that when will this guy die? That's what devotees are praying. When will this guy die? We want to adopt the mentality or the heart of Vritrasur, not his external thing, which apparently everyone is cursing. When will this die? I was thinking when Nayan left the world, I was cursing myself. I wish I would have worshipped her every day. And at the same time, when I see the relationship issues between husband and wife, I was just telling, I feel like my life was heaven. I never had relationship issues. That's why it became 1 plus 1 is equal to 11. It's not easy. Yes, there are challenges in our spiritual life, challenges in material world, but at the same time, how do we actually keep that razor focus where I want to and where I am? And being very sensitive about people around me, including at home. How do I actually deal with them? My life, my spiritual life is dependent on each and every one of you, including my wife, including my kids, including my husband, including my. How are we dealing at home? That decides how are we pleasing our Guru and Krishna. And when we are stuck with this tiny problem, oh, you know what? I want this dress, I want this money, you didn't do this for me. Oh, Krishna, this is, we are just, there is a huge storm is about to come. We have to prepare for that one. We have to prepare our consciousness for that moment when we have to leave our body and leaving that attachment. Hare Krishna, I want to really get there. I was just understanding from one devotee, he was just mentioning what is lacking. And I was just thinking about it one time. Yugal Kishore Prabhu beautifully said, what we lack is a Sambandha Gyan. And what we lack is what we are being offered. So when we are practicing our spiritual life, it is great to chant. It is great to participating in the kirtan. When I get out from the kirtan and my wife said, can you do this for me? Why don't you do this for me? I'm not doing it. And when another devotee says, can you do it? Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Mataji. Duality, duplicity, not duality. I am very different at home and I'm different in when I come in front of community. My life, which is happening outside this temple, is not exposed like here. Dhruv Maharaj's life is exposed. What is happening in his life? Don't think the problems will not come. Even a 5-year boy has to face the problem. Don't think our problems will be, oh, how will I handle this? My health issues, my this thing. I was just thinking about it. Imagine you are on a bed, hospital bed, and you are told today is your last day. How would you feel? Then everything in this world becomes irrelevant. I don't care. I don't care what is happening, what my wife said, what my husband said, what this devotee said, what that happened. You forget about all these things. The goal is very lofty for all of us, my dear devotees, and we have a long, long way to actually get there. Yet, let's utilize that energy. It's wonderful. Again, coming back to the point, when the unit energy is identified with the service of total energy, the unit energy is, it's all about consciousness. It's all about consciousness. It's not about cooking for the Lord. It's not about sweeping for the Lord. It's not about dressing the Lord. It's not about offering pujari service. One day I was actually on the altar on Sunday, and it's a huge room, and I hardly did aarti on Sunday. And when I hear the kirtan, my hands are shaking because I am thinking, as a pujari, I'm supposed to actually offer in front on behalf of all these elevated devotees. How would my consciousness be? And I was struggling with my consciousness, praying to the Lord, myself, my Lord. I'm not. I'm supposed to do it for. I'm supposed to do it for myself as well. But more than that, I'm offering on behalf of all the devotees. How clear has to be my consciousness? Very difficult. How will I remember Krishna at that time? How will I remember Krishna when I'm just going to leave or quit everything? When we quit a job, we talk about, oh, I have to take care of this, I have to take care of who is this, what is going to happen. Other day, Bhagavad Acharya Prabhu was actually, we went for Monday program and he was actually giving our introduction. I actually wanted to stop. I wanted to say something, but then I didn't say, wearing this saffron dress, I'll tell you, is a huge responsibility. And how much we should offer obeisances to all these beautiful personalities, actually. Because today the whole world is driven by sex life. Why Grastas are in Grasta life is because there is an urge to enjoy opposite sex. Vice versa, whichever way it is. Renounce that. Renounce that. Why? Because I want to dedicate my life for Krishna. So imagine when one day Yugal Kishore Prabhu was asking this question and I was thinking about, he said, you know, what is the difference between Grasta and if someone wants to take a Grasta life? I did not cover this aspect at that time. There are very few examples who are 1 plus 1 is equal to 11. Very, very few on fingers you can count. Across, across ISKCON, I would say. Very few. Madan Gopal Prabhu, when he came, His Grace Madan Gopal Prabhu is a spiritual master now. And his wife and they were telling actually in the room how they actually grew up in Krishna consciousness and how they actually gave Krishna consciousness to their children. What an example they were setting. This wife was sharing how she is taking care of every responsibility at home and how the husband is so supportive, so respectful to her wife, his wife. When we see such examples, when I want to be very honest in our congregation, if I have to speak and I'm boldly speaking, example of Kadam Kanan Prabhu. I haven't lived with someone else, but when I lived with them for some time, I realized what an amazing personality he is. So sensitive in dealings, either at the temple or at home. Yes, there are conflicts, not that because at the end of the day, we are targeting 10 things to be done in an hour, which is very difficult to do. I'm just giving an example. But how are you making those dealings so congenial? And the children take it one time. Mukunda is just 3 years old. And then there is a conflict which happened between Ansuni and mine. So this guy is very small. And whatever conversation we are having, and then this guy is listening. I have no idea. Till date, he remembers that. I was just shocked. Oh, he was such a small boy. But he still remembered. So how we are dealing at home between a husband and wife, that creates a huge impression on the kids. They see what is happening around it. And they behave in a way which you will not be able to predict. That's why you see, compared to devotees, if you see other kids who are not devotee, and when you see there's a huge difference, there is a devotee kid and there is a to be devotee kid, and you see the difference between their dealings. Oh, Krishna. Sometimes when I do arti here for singing, I can't focus because the kids are running. And when the devotee kids are running and I see other kids, huge difference. What is the consciousness are we bringing? What is the consciousness we are bringing? One time, Govind Prabhu said a very deep line. He said, it is better to be Gunda rather than wearing a tilak and doing that cruel act. Gunda is, what is an English term for that one? Huh? Bandit. Bandit. Bandit, yeah. Goon, okay, okay. Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, bro. What are we trying to do? Set up a legacy so that the world wants to follow. There was a devotee I heard from my spiritual master. His name was Kuvera, a devotee's name. He had a cancer. He had a cancer and his whole body was melting from within. One day, his birthday, Vyas Puja, but he's alive. Maharaj was invited and they booked a huge hall. There were Christians, there were Muslims, and there were devotees. And everyone was coming on the stage and glorifying this devotee, Kuvera Prabhu. And there were tears on the other participants who were actually in the room. How much he contributed. There was one prostitute. She said, in Bawri area, I was completely ignored and I took up this profession. And everyone just saw me with the abuse, just thinking about how can I exploit that person. And when I met Kuvera Prabhu, and he said something nice about me, and I was amazed. Is there something nice in me that changed my life? I left my profession, and now I'm married and practicing devotional service. Imagine, not a sannyasi, simple devotee. He would come for monk. This is in Washington, D.C. Every Saturday he will come for Mangalarti in spite of whatever was the situation. One time he would come in the bus, he didn't have the car. One time he was getting down and somebody wanted to rush through. They pushed him and he fell down on the street. And he did not have an energy in his body to actually stand up. So he somehow managed and reached for Mangalarti with a lot of bruises and all that stuff. And then devotees asked what happened. No, nothing. Started blissfully dancing in the kirtan. And when he was in the last minute of his moment, very similar thing like Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, I wouldn't trade my position with something else. My dear Prabhus and Mataji, we are in much more better shape from material perspective. We don't have to struggle for our 2 meals. We don't have to struggle to come here for Mangalarti program. Our life is going okay. Why are we trying to create more miseries in our life? Why? Avanti Brahman says a beautiful line. What a realization. See, the point of suffering is to actually bring us to that realization that everything is temporary. Relationships are temporary. I told myself, I will never use this line that life has to go on. I didn't slap anyone, but I felt like if someone says like that, oh, I'm so sorry, man, forget about it. I am very happy. Suffering to the top of the heart or whatever the word is, but blissful. Why? At least in that moment, I cannot forget how miseries are. Sometimes I actually go and remember those days, how she went through this, what happened in this day to the hospital. Seeing the photos, this is what was happening right there. Why? Living in misery is better, million times better than living happily in a moment, because that always keeps the goal alive. It always makes you realize this world is temporary. There is nothing perfect going to happen in this material world. Sorry, my class is not to actually demoralize you or demotivate you or putting you down, but that's a reality of the life. If we are thinking, oh, these small winds are going to bewilder me, there are huge storms are supposed to come. Let's utilize this unit energy in the service of total energy. We can do something much more sublime. This is another story which I was hearing. SB Keshav Maharaj, His Holiness SB Keshav Maharaj, very beautiful class, transforming struggles into strength. He quotes one example. This person, 30 years, one time he had a stomach pain, went to the doctor. They did few tests. They came back. I'm sorry to say, sir, you have cancer. Just a stomach pain. No health issues, prior issues, no bad habits. Great. Just a stomach pain. How much time do I have? 2 years max. How old? 30 years. All of a sudden, one day, I'll come to that. His name is Janki Nath Prabhu. I don't know him personally, but he called. Oh, he came here. Wow. Wow. Thank you for that context, bro. When he got to know, he was telling, and he had this 2 years. He actually was bringing the people who are suffering at that stage and bringing them to the congregation, connecting to Krishna. And when he was leaving the body, he was telling, last 2 years has been blissful years for me. Blissful years. I'll tell you, for a person who is suffering, only that person knows what is going on with him or her. The rest of the people can think about it or have some kind of this thing, but You can't understand how what a energy Maya is. What an energy, what a creation by Krishna. A person who is suffering, that only knows what is happening. The other guy is in bliss. Oh, my life is great. There are country issues, there are country fights. Oh, it won't happen to me. Someone has having a cancer. This won't happen to me. I live a healthy life. Oh, this won't happen to me. That happened to the other person. It won't happen to me. This Prabhu who was leaving is saying, my last 2 years are blissful because he is using his unit energy to identify or connect with the service of total energy. We can never feel the separation. We can never understand what Radharani or Vrajavasis are experiencing in separation of Krishna until we actually grow up. I'm sorry to say that I'm talking to myself. We are stuck up in such a body mundane calculation. This is a thing, that guy is doing that, my husband is doing, my wife is doing, my devotees are doing, this is happening, this is. I'm sorry, there's a long way. In Hindi, we call Delhi abhi dur hai. Long way to go. What is the hope? The hope is to actually do that gap analysis, coming back to the beginning. What is that gap analysis? Where I am, where I want to be, where I was, where I am. At least for me, the positive doesn't work for me, negative works. I don't want to see myself. Oh, now I'm trying to practice Krishna consciousness. I was not doing that. No. Where I have to go. Sorry, everyone is different. For me, it is different. For me to chant 16 rounds, I have to start at upfront. I cannot say, oh, I'll start by 2 rounds, I'll do. Because that's how I am. I'm not saying that you should be that way. But unfortunately, the material world cuts. Not that you get the time. Oh, can I get this time? We unfortunately don't have time. Time is, I was just telling the other day, I went for someone's death anniversary. The family invited, and we went there. And I didn't know what to speak. And somehow I spoke. And the audience was nice. They were listening. The moment the class got over, and I was stunned and I was trying to remember myself, they started getting into the mundane topics. अरे ये क्या चल रहा है? What is happening here? What is happening? Trump is doing that. Manage whatever. Sorry, this is happening. He's doing great things, by the way. Sorry, just want to make sure AI is there. So 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 all that stuff. I was just thinking about, wow, what a power of material energy. What is the power of illusion? This person, we are coming here for it. And the moment I started, the first thing which I started the class with is Yudhishthir Maharaj and the conversation between Yudhishthir Maharaj and, huh? No. Yakshas.
Yaksha.
On a very highly platform, Prabhu. You are beyond material platform, so you already think Yaksha. We're just discussing about it. I can't imagine within 1 hour or 30 minutes, we forgot. Everything is bliss. Go back, that start. This thing, that thing, that. Wow. If I'm going to continue that way, my Lord, I pray, rather than actually indulging my consciousness, effort, and all that stuff, let's pray, my Lord, I'm so insignificant. And these three modes of material nature are crushing me, taking me towards the hellish life. When will I use my unit energy? When will I use my every drop of my blood in Krishna's energy rather than wasting in all these mundane, stupid issues? Husband did not do that, wife did not do that, this not. I'll tell you one example because Nayan Sundari went to spiritual world, and I'll tell you what is her behavior, what she did, so that it gives some kind of mind map. I have a meeting in 15 minutes. Some kind of mind map to understand where to get onto. One time, after a year of separation from the temple, we got a visitor visa, and only myself, three of us got, one did not get. So now definitely kids cannot be alone at home. She said, "You go and pray for us." I came and I went back. When I entered, I opened the garage. They started performing kirtan. They started performing kirtan. This is this is this is different for me. I'm like, what is happening? This is because you came from the temple. You are representative of the Lord. And they offered obeisances. I offered obeisances back to them because I am not carrying that consciousness which she is carrying. Not a single day, though she was sick, she said, "I will not cook today, you manage yourself." Not a single day. She had a great career. She was earning more than me before she quit the job, being very submissive. Can you imagine? I was giving the class and she would be a participant, pure devotee. And then, unless I ask, she would not add in the class. Reality is that she was first trained to actually become a preacher. And I've been a failure throughout my life. And I was thinking, if I have to say it in Hindi, gali ka kutta tha. She made me a pet dog. I was a street dog. She made me a pet dog. And my whole life, which I'm trying to work on, is to become a dog of my spiritual master so that I can be a unit energy. Why our spiritual masters are suffering? Because of us. They don't have any karma. Because as a husband, as a wife, or as a devotee, I'm criticizing other God brothers, God sisters, or other Prabhupada disciples. How is that going to happen? World does not need philosophy. World needs a character. Like those examples, Janakinath Prabhu, and who was the other person? Kubera Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Let's become an example. Let's become a unit energy to engage. With the mercy of Dhruv Maharaj, we can do much more sublime thing for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada and for our spiritual master. Let's not derail. Let's not distract ourselves from all this. With that, I would like to end. I think I already summarized what we discussed today. Please forgive me. I'm not here to teach you anything. I'm not here to instruct you anything because my life is a failure. But whatever places I failed, I'm just sharing. I'm not saying you are a failure, but I'm saying avoid these bumpy roads so that you can become 1 plus 1 11. And let's be an instrument to actually set up a legacy. Then only we will experience what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his Chaitanya Leela, whatever devotees are experiencing. Please forgive me if I said something beyond my capacity. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Samaveda Gaura Bhaktavinda ki Jai. Any reflection someone wants to add? Yes, Puji. How to see family in spiritual context and not strong hearing that helps me. When I hear, trust me, irrelevant of however prominent class I hear, I like them. If I hear a simple class by my spiritual master, that touches my heart like anything. Hearing and gap analysis. If I am here, how do I get there? And then when I do that, I realize the same person in my family, in my house, if I can cooperate, then I can focus. If I have relationship issues, अरे कितना भी bad feedback उठा के if you chat, you cannot focus. Even if I just tell my kids to reduce the screen time, and if I don't do it right, when next day I cannot chat. I'm trying to do right thing for them indirectly. And we may feel right thing, I may be doing wrong thing because that's how mind works. I saw one devotee externally. I don't want to quote him, but I want to share this for my purification and for our second initiated devotees, serving deity very nicely. And I'm somehow trying to bring in the husband of one Mataji to Krishna consciousness. He is not a devotee. Working so hard, his family is working so hard. This guy gave him left and right. The words he spoke, I could never imagine a devotee would be speaking. I was speaking in my other class on Sunday. Even touching a feet, we don't touch the feet to anything actually. I was not even the shoes, if you want to move, you have to be very careful. That is the culture. And if we are using our body to hit the devotee, man, forget it. We have to first become a human before we become a devotee. So let's first understand what is Vaishnava. And hearing Krishna conscious philosophy, understanding the goal and understanding it's a very lofty goal. Every verse, Prabhuji covered this previous verse, every verse. If I remember, Dhruva got it. And what I have to suffer in the next life if I don't make it makes us very grounded and we don't do those mistakes. That's my realization, Prabhu. Anybody else wants to add? That's what I think about. Helps, Prabhu. Any other reflections? Any other reflections online? Okay, we will end here. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Please pray for us. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu.